Broadcasting from an undisclosed location. From a secret hunting spot known only to him. And the guy who told him about it. And possibly the guy who told him. It's a show all about hunting in New Zealand and around the globe. This is The Hunting Show. Find The Hunting Show on Facebook and Twitter for up-to-date information on upcoming shows and topics.
Welcome back to another week of The Hunting Show. I'm your host, Stephen Spargo, and yes, last week we missed a show. And you might be wondering why. Well, my wife and I own a little business, or a reasonable business, and it's called Social Image. And I'm not one to promote our business much on the show. In fact, this is the first time I've ever talked about it. But if you go online and go to www.socialimage.co.nz, you'll be able to check out what we do there. And one of the things we get involved with is events. And last week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, we were heavily involved in putting an event together. So I ran out of time. And then after that, we had to recover and get together with our other shareholders and do a whole lot of stuff. So unfortunately, the show, which at the moment I do for mostly love, kind of ended up on the back burner. So I apologise for that. But we're back here in full force now, and I did get quite a lot. In fact, streams and streams of feedback from listeners about last week or the week before last show. And the interesting thing was I found it somewhat strange. Most of the feedback must have come from people that didn't listen to the show, or surely came from people that didn't listen to the show. And if you haven't, it was that we talked to Ngāti Tihoi about the Te Uruwera Ranges and hunting permits and what's going on in there. I mean, Richard, and I won't give out last names in case you're wondering, but Richard wrote, "Brilliant, finally, mutually respectful, pragmatic, inclusive approach to managing a wonderful resource." So some of the feedback was like that. Others, though, took a more bigoted view, and that's really all I can say. And I understand that hunters fear that their rights may be been encroached on, but I really think that you've gone too far. This is a process, and unfortunately, that process will take time. And I sincerely hope that after this bedding in period of a couple of months, that the Te Uruwera Ranges are going to end up a great resource for everybody. I sincerely believe that that's what the wish is by the Te Uruwera Trust. And if you listen to the interview, I'm sure you're going to get that impression as well. Others wrote things like, "It's a great interview, really hope it works out. Still worried as a pig hunter about certain attitudes of outsiders." And I did mention that in the interview. So if you didn't listen to that interview last week, well and truly worth checking out, particularly if you hunt the Te Uruwera Ranges, but also to see whether iwi and hunting relationships, or iwi and hunters relationships in areas that are owned by iwi could be improved on, and maybe we can see this idea of a inclusive, respectful approach happen in other parts of the country. Now, we do have a promotion on at the moment, and someone's about to win that very soon, and it's the Hunting Show Fan of the Month. We've done this before. Be rewarded for being active. You can win a 12-month subscription with NZ Outdoor Hunting Magazine, and all you have to do is be active on our Facebook page, or email us, or send us photos. I am a little bit behind, and I'm going to catch up this very soon, getting the photos onto our website, www.thehuntingshow.co.nz. Have a look on there. There's a few photos up there. There's a few more that are going to go up there very soon. And a couple of you might be going, why hasn't he put our photos up? Doesn't he like us? It's not that at all. I'm just a little bit behind. This week's interview is about a subject that we had more listeners to and more feedback than almost any other show that we've done. And that was on disabled hunting. And if you haven't listened to the show we did with Troy Grimwood about disabled hunting, go back, because it's a doozy. He really did put a new light on enabled hunting, or disabled hunting, whatever you want to call it. But to follow on from that, joined by phone, I have Bill Davis from Disabled Hunting New Zealand Charitable Trust. How are you?
Oh, very well. Very well.
Now, Bill, tell us a little bit about how disabledhunting.org or Disabled Hunting Charitable Trust came about.
Well, I met a chap, Travis Moffat, who was in a wheelchair at a gas station, and I asked him, just introduced myself and asked him whether he knew of anyone who would be interested in using a shooting range, as a member of the Canterbury Branch of the Deerstalkers Association, and we have quite a good range facility. And while he was too busy to talk to me then, he got back to me and consequently found he worked for Burwood Spinal Unit, and he was very interested in getting the people from there out to our range. And that's really how it started.
And can you tell us, because when we initially did the first show, I didn't know there was a disabled hunting organisation in New Zealand, and you got in touch with us after my call out. Is there one here? And what sort of response have you had?
Via the Transitional Rehabilitation Unit, which is where Travis is sort of mainly works, very good. We've had a few guys go out and do a hunt from the chair. So from that point of view, a lot of inquiries. Some of them from people that probably couldn't do what we do. I'll rephrase it. They couldn't hold a rifle. They're too disabled, I guess. That's something we'll look at down the track, I guess. Kira.
Have you had the numbers through? I see some great photos on your website, and that website is definitely worth checking out, disabledhunting.org. But have you had the numbers through, or are you still finding people are discovering that you're there?
I think it's a case of where I think people don't know we're there because we really haven't, other than the website, haven't done any real push. I don't know why. Probably because we're still sort of developing a bit, the system a bit, really.
But it all, from what I can gather, you've got this chair that makes it a lot easier for certain individuals to get into hunting. Can you tell us more about that?
Correct. Well, it was, as I say, I designed something 30 years ago for a chap who was disabled to get out onto riverbed fishing, and wheels weren't the ideal thing, so I designed something with tracks. There wasn't anything available, unfortunately, back then. But I got on the internet about 4 years ago, found there was lots of components and more powerful engines, better control systems, and just went about building this thing. I sold my jet boat and used the money for that. And it works really well.
Can you tell us how it works and what it looks like?
What it looks like? I guess it looks like a chair with tank tracks, I guess is the close.
Yeah.
So it looks quite aggressive. The tracks are about 300 mil wide, and they're about a bit over a metre long, if you just overall length. It sits about a metre wide, weighs about 180 kilos, I think, including the batteries. And, it's got a tilt chair. The actual seat mechanism tilts to allow for elevation and declination. So, if you're shooting down off a track or uphill. The one thing we haven't built yet is some form of rest for someone to rest the rifle on if they can't support the firearm fully with the muscles.
Right.
But we're working on that at the moment.
And I see on your website you're using this thing for large game, small game, fishing.
Yep. Yeah, there's a fishing rod holder that's attached. You can put a fly rod in it, go down to the river and fly fish, or a lake and fly fish.
Can you tell us...
As long as you can get access to it.
Right.
And it kind of means that while you need an AB around, you don't need them right there.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can still move around.
What's the difference between this thing and a quad bike?
Well, we did a lot of research with Travis, given that where he works, and found that a significant number of people that have back injuries don't have very good trunk stability. Therefore, if they get on a quad bike, they tend to fall off again.
Right.
So that's why we went for something with went for a chair type arrangement, really. And it's quiet. I mean, it's electric, so it makes very little noise.
Mm. Oh, okay. That's a really good point. Obviously, with quad bikes just slamming around in the bush, and this thing's is it quiet enough to stalk, or are you still having to get up onto the tops? Oh,
definitely quiet. Yeah, very quiet. Definitely quiet enough to stalk along. Travis has stalked along some of the tracks there and shot at deer and missed them, but and shot a deer. So it definitely works. Yeah. Yeah.
What about some of your success stories?
We've had two. Travis has shot one from the chair. We had a guy, Curtis. He's spina bifida, he had a shot and missed a deer from it. So it's certainly capable of doing what we need to do. Probably a biggest disadvantage is, even though it's very generous of the people that have supplied a high country game park for us to hunt in, its suitability is marginal. It's proved the concept, and we've certainly had people out there and had success, but there's just not the range of terrain to move around in. Some of it's just too steep to be safe.
Mm. And is that, you think that's purely a South Island thing, or have you looked into the North Island as well?
I'm sure there are probably steep places up there, but
yes. Yep.
I think that I've made some contacts recently to find us a game park that is well tracked, but is not as steep. And the main thing with this station is it's got steep entries and exits out of creeks, and that just stops you. You know, they're very narrow, very steep entrances. They're even tough on a four-wheel drive. So if we can get away from that, you know, it gives the hunter a lot more autonomy. They can just, you know, say, there you go for it, you know, and they can roam around pretty much at will. So, which is really what people, you know, anyone that's got some form of disability wants. From the messages I get from people that are in wheelchairs, is that they would really like to just do their own thing and not have to have people with them.
It's about creating something normal, or normalising something for them, isn't it?
I think so. About as much as you can do. Yeah. Independence. That's the key word that I keep getting, is to do something independent.
Now, this Disabled Hunting New Zealand Charitable Trust, how has it been funded, or is it just you and a couple of guys trying to make this happen at the moment?
Well, it is. It's just a few people trying to make it happen. I put some funding in. We've had Ringaroa Lions put some funding in. We've had quite a few donations, equipment donated to us, things like that. So it's been pretty well received. Hunters Element have been supplying a bit of gear for anyone that does a hunt. They get a T-shirt and a cap, things like that. So, you know, I think it's pretty well received. We had it at the TAR show last year. I couldn't go this year because I've torn 2 tendons in my shoulder, and I was just not able to move things around. Otherwise I would have been there this year.
Do you think that see, when we talked to Troy, for him it was that he recently had a spinal injury, and hunting was the thing that one of the things he was most concerned about missing, and he's created his own ways of making sure that he can get on with it and get the stuff he loves doing back into his life. Is it, for these guys, is that the same experience that you've had?
Correct. Yeah, that's wholly where it's at. It's not so much for people that have never hunted or fired a firearm. I think that's something that Travis covers very well with people who have had recent back injuries by taking them to a range. That covers that off, although that's really what instigated building the track chair, because it was a few guys that had been along to that asked Travis that very question, well, how could we go hunting?
Okay. So far, Bill, there's been a relatively small uptake. Do you envision that as your organisation grows, it's just going to get bigger and bigger? Or, and again, the subject was very popular online. I'm just wondering, where to now? What's going to make this vision that you have that little bit better?
One, getting a more suitable property. I'm presently not able to drive at the moment due to the injury, having the surgery on my shoulder, but I should be back on 4 wheels myself in about 2 weeks' time, and I've got a property to go and see just up near near Culverden, which is hopefully we've got a very good number of rabbits there. Well, they do have good numbers of rabbits, and it's very well tracked and steep. So that's an option for small game, and investigate other properties for big game. Consequently, you know, I'd like to get more people that have hunted and get them out. You know, there's a small fee involved. Obviously, if they're not financial, we'll waive that, but it just means that it puts something back into the trust so that we can hopefully just equipment ongoing.
Yeah, because you have been going a little while, isn't it? Since 2010?
Yep. Yeah, 2010.
Yeah. Just quickly, though, you've got a background in hunting too, haven't you? I normally ask you that right at the beginning. I'm not sure why I didn't, but you've got an extensive background yourself. You're a member of the New Zealand Deer Stalkers Association and all sorts of things. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, I've hunted all my life since I was a small child. You know, we hunted for mice and, you know, rats, cats, hedgehogs, all that sort of stuff, and then moved into small game, and then in later years, after family got a bit bigger, I got into big game hunting. So that's really where it is. I've been guiding on a commercial basis for the last 8 years. Prior to that, I did some ad hoc private guiding. So I've sort of guided for 15 years off and on. Yeah. And it's just a great joy to be out there with someone that hasn't hunted or, you know, hasn't maybe shot something and get them out there hunting. It's huge to see them succeed.
And I suppose it's about, you know, getting them to do something they didn't think they'd ever be able to do again or ever do at all. Is that kind of... Correct.
Yeah, that's really where it lays, really.
It's pretty empowering stuff.
Oh, huge. I mean, Curtis, the last guy to shoot a deer, he'd never shot a deer. He was just over the moon. He had a grin from ear to ear and never stopped grinning. I think in the 2 weeks following, he rang me about 4 or 5 times. So, you know, it's a joy. Yeah, a real joy to see people do something they have a passion for but have never been able to succeed at. Yeah, great.
Now, people want to see photos of this amazing chair and some of the work that you do. Obviously, that's all online, that disabledhunting.org. And you told me earlier off air that you were looking at setting up a Facebook page very soon.
Yes, we're having that done now. In fact, I got an email yesterday to confirm that Bruce is going ahead with that. So hopefully we'll have something, in the next few weeks that we can put up, and we'll obviously there'll be a link on the web page to a Facebook page. But that's about the only way I know of sort of getting it across.
Yeah.
At the moment, we've had an article done. There's an author, you may know of him, Stuart Lang.
Yep.
He's written a few books, writes in New Zealand outdoor and hunting. He wrote an article on us February, March 2013, which came out very well.
Yep.
Probably a little bit more about me than the trust, which sort of went the other way. But however, it still gives the picture. So there's photos in there.
And if someone wants to help out, because you're a bit of a one-man band at the moment from what I can gather, if someone wants to help out, either that be financially or whether they just want to assist you in what you're doing or even start a North Island branch potentially, maybe.
That would be amazing, to do that. Look, any help we'll greatly receive from assistance, to get out there with people, fishing guides, hunting guides, anyone that's got suitable property, as well as obviously, financial. We could certainly do with that. There's ongoing costs even to a trust. We have audits and things to get done. All those things cost money. We'd like to get a bit of equipment to make it easier to transport chair to sites for people to use it. Other than that, we'll receive any and all assistance.
Like and I see you've had a few sponsors. You've got a really respectful list of sponsors sitting on your website there. I think
the primary one, that have been so supportive, has got to be the Guild family at High Peak Station,
right?
Because they're the ones that helped us get this going, get it off the ground. So James and Simon, brilliant, great people.
Oh, good stuff to hear. Now, Bill, you've been a hunter for a very, very long time. You must have a good hunting story or two kicking around. Can you give us one?
A good hunting story?
Not to put you on the spot.
Well, yeah, if you'd asked me earlier. I've written a few hunting stories, but most of them sort of take a while. What's an interesting one? I remember a guy took me fellow deer hunting on Mount Crichton Station, which is down Lake Wakatipu, and I don't know whether it's foolishly or not. I think now foolishly I took my treble too. And I think, fellow deer, I've never really hunted them, so surely a treble too would be perfect for a little animal like that. I shot a doe, and when I got to her, she was still slightly alive, so I thought, well, I'll cut her throat and bleed her out. And upon grasping her, she proceeded to kick the living crap out of me. This little deer would have weighed, I don't know, they're not very heavy, 40, 45, 50 pounds. My right thigh was black the next day, where she ran up and down my leg. But I got the better of her, and she was great eating. But, yeah, it certainly cost me a little bit.
And like I said earlier, serves you right.
Oh, I think it does. I've been kicked in the head by dead deer before, and, when you just cutting a back leg off, I had the other leg smack me in the head. So you've got to be careful with these things, dead or alive.
Oh, absolutely. I've had a few close calls myself. So that website again is www.disabledhunting.org. Please check it out, and you'll see some of the great work that Bill and his awesome chair have been doing. And if they want to go on a hunt, or you've got people out there interested in going on a hunt, an enabled hunt, I suppose you'd call it, how do they contact you, Bill?
Well, the easiest way is through the website on the contact page, and just put their details in there, and that'll come through to me on the email. And I'll contact them pretty much straight away, and then we'll organise something from there. The main difficulty, I guess, is we're sort of restricted to people around the area, unless they can make their way here, and it's kind of got to fit in the fact that I do have a full-time job.
Yeah. So
other than that, usually we can fit something in over a weekend.
Well, Bill, a big congratulations for the work you're doing, and I only hope that it grows from here. You've got it this far, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on it to make sure I do my part, and I will be talking about it whenever I can, just to make sure that this great idea continues to flourish and do something for these people in New Zealand. So again, Bill, thank you very much. And
well, thank you. Thanks for taking the time. Yeah, appreciate it.
No worries.
Cheers.
Here's an idea. All you listeners out there, while I've got your attention, if you can think of a subject you'd like me to cover on the show, or someone you think would be appropriate for me to interview, please send it through, and if you can, send through all of their contact details as well. I'd be really interested to have more of your thoughts and your interviews on the show. So at the moment I'm covering at large things that I find interesting, or things that I sort of manage to scratch around and find for hunters in New Zealand, and particularly hunters in New Zealand, but hunters around the globe as well. But if you've got any interview ideas, please send them through. I'd be more than happy to consider them. Some of them that you've sent through I won't consider because they don't really work, but mostly the ones that people have suggested I've gone ahead and done. So thank you very much for those of you that have, and if you've got any ideas, don't hold on to them. If you're sitting there thinking, gosh, I'd really like to hear Stephen cover this, please send it through. info@thehuntingshow.co.nz, or leave us a message on Facebook. I do apologise for those of you who I haven't got back to. I get a lot of emails about the show, a lot. And I do endeavour to reply to a good chunk of you, but sometimes it just doesn't work. There's only so many hours in the day, so I apologise for that. But most of you will probably acknowledge that if you have sent me an email, I've replied in some form. That's it for another show. Remember, you can win that 12-month subscription with NZ Outdoor Magazine, Outdoor and Hunting Magazine. All you have to do is be active, send me emails, jump on Facebook, like, share, do all that good stuff that I know you guys are good at doing. Good hunting.
Broadcasting from an undisclosed location, from a secret hunting spot known only to him, and the guy who told him about it, and possibly the guy who told him. It's a show all about hunting in New Zealand and around the globe. This is The Hunting Show. Find The Hunting Show on Facebook and Twitter for up-to-date information on upcoming shows and topics.